Returning home to peace. As we walk this journey in life, we can, at times, be tossed and turned by conditions and circumstances. Where have we heard that, right? We can occasionally get thrown off course and lose our way. We can, now and again, forget who we are. Has that happened to anybody? Well, if you know what I'm talking about, then this month is really a good month for you. Because each week we're returning home, and we're using the following words from Ernest Holmes from his book Observations as our anchor idea. And what he wrote was, first at home in the silence of our own thought, let us heal ourselves of fear, of doubt, of uncertainty. Let our lives be peaceful. Let our lives be whole. Then shall that peace which is God abiding within us radiate from us. Today we're going to continue our journey by returning home to peace, even when we are in the midst of change. So, I think I have found inner peace. Yes, a life coach on the internet recently told me that the way to achieve inner peace was to finish all of the things I had started. So yesterday I finished a pizza, a carton of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, a box of See's candy, and I feel much better already. Well, maybe that isn't the way to peace, but it felt good at the time, right? My daughter's looking at me going, no. But there is a way to find inner peace. And today we're going to take a look at that way. It's simple, it's very simple, but it's deeply profound. The mystics and the spiritual masters of antiquity have known it. They've taught it and they have shared it. And yet most of us don't get it. Here it is. If you want peace, then you must choose peace. You must make the choice to return home to peace. Whether we mean peace in the family, peace in the job, peace in the church, peace in the community, or peace in the world, peace begins with a conscious choice made by an individual. Peace is an inside job. Everything is actually an inside job. But peace is an inside job, and we're talking about that today. It is a one person at a time job. Thich Nhat Hanh's book, Peace is Every Step, is an amazingly beautiful guide to this idea. The foreword in the book was written by the Dalai Lama. And Mary Morrissey this last week talked about how she had a vision of getting to sit down and meet with the Dalai Lama. She had no idea how that was going to happen. And then one day, she got a call from the folks that work with the Dalai Lama, and she got to sit down and meet with him. Started with a vision. It's really interesting. But this is what the Dalai Lama said about Thich Nhat Hanh's book. It says, although attempting to bring about world peace through an internal transformation of individuals may seem difficult, it is the only way. Peace must first be developed within, and I believe that love, compassion, and altruism are the fundamental basis for peace. Once these qualities are developed within an individual, he or she is then able to create an atmosphere of peace and harmony. This atmosphere can be expanded and extended from the individual to his family, from the family to the community, and eventually to the whole world. His words remind me of the profoundly beautiful Chinese proverb, if there is light in the soul, there will be beauty in the person. If there's beauty in the person, there will be harmony in the house. If there is harmony in the house, there will be order in the nation. If there is order in the nation, there will be peace on earth. Here's a fundamental spiritual truth. No effect can be held in place without a cause to sustain it. No effect can be held in place without a cause to sustain it. In other words, somebody out there must be believing in destruction and in war and in hate for it to be sustained. We just have to make sure it's not us, right? Therefore, I choose to be peace. I choose a consciousness of peace in order to experience peace. Ernest Holmes, in the July 1955, so this is not a new idea here, issue of the Science of Mind magazine wrote, let us realize if the world is to be healed of war and brought into peace, it won't have been because guns were bigger and better or more of them. We may need them until it does heal itself, but that will come to pass only because somewhere along the line, the balance of the scales of eternal truth shall fall on the side of peace. Let us, you and me, pray for peace, and let us make our hearts fit to accept it when it comes. Let us make our intellect and our soul and our will and our feeling ready to receive it and embrace it even before it comes. Let us, in the stillness of our own soul, go back to that ineffable presence, which is peace, and proclaim it even in the midst of confusion. That peace which is the power at the heart of God. The key then lies in remembering that our power to make peace a reality in our world lies in our ability to choose peace, to be peace. I have 3 ideas that I'd like to share with you this morning that I trust can assist you in choosing peace. They are really to realize our interbeingness. Number 2 is to practice mindfulness. And number 3, be only loving kindness. So let's look at the first one, realize our interbeingness. The idea of interbeingness comes from Thich Nhat Hanh, and let me explain. Use your imagination now and see a cloud floating, just floating, in this sheet of paper. Use your imagination. Do you see a cloud floating in this sheet of paper? Can you see it? Everybody see it?
There's a cloud floating on the screen.
Okay, but in this sheet of paper. Okay. All right, great. Because without that cloud, there would be no piece of paper. Let me explain. Without that cloud, there would be no rain. Without the rain, the trees cannot grow, and without trees, we can't make paper. The cloud is essential for the paper to exist. So we say that the cloud and the paper are. Interbeingness is not in the dictionary yet, but I think it really ought to be. Let's take it a step deeper. If we probe more into this sheet of paper, look at it deeply, we can see the sunshine in it, because without the sunshine, the forest cannot grow. And so we know that the sunshine is also in this piece of paper. This paper and the sunshine are. And if we continue to look, we can see that the logger who cut the tree and brought it to the mill is in this paper. And with a closer look, we will see wheat. We know that the logger cannot exist. Well, maybe it wouldn't be wheat if he had a gluten allergy or something. But we know that the logger cannot exist without his daily bread. Okay? And therefore, the wheat that became his bread is also in this sheet of paper. The logger's father and mother are also in this paper. When we look at it this way, we see that without all of these things, this sheet of paper cannot exist. Looking even more deeply, we can see ourselves in this sheet of paper too. This is not difficult to see because when we look at the sheet of paper, it becomes part of our perception. Your mind is in here, and my mind is also. So we can say that everything is in here with this sheet of paper. We cannot point out one thing that is not there. Time, space, earth, rain, minerals in the soil, the sunshine, the clouds, the river, the heat, you and me, all of it. Everything coexists within this sheet of paper. That's why the word interbe should be in the dictionary. To be is to interbe. We cannot just be ourselves alone. We have to interbe with every other thing. This sheet of paper, this sheet of paper is because everything else is. We are because everything else is. We exist because everything else is. Okay, I know that that's really kind of a concept to take in. It's a lot. Take a deep breath. Shake it out just a little bit. Okay. All right. It's a pretty fascinating concept, isn't it, when you think about it, how we're all interconnected with everything and nothing could exist without everything. So what does this have to do with our topic this morning? It has everything to do with our topic. The first step in returning home to peace is to realize this interbeingness. And connected to our interbeingness is the realization that everything we could ever need, want, desire for our peace and happiness is already what? It's already ours. We already have it. It's already a part of us. We don't have to hunt for it. We don't have to chase after it. We just must settle into it. And that's exactly what we do when we move on to number 2, practice mindfulness. So what is mindfulness? Okay, you guys know what mindfulness is. Come on, you know this. What is mindfulness? Being fully and completely present in the present moment. That is mindfulness. How often is our peace disrupted because we are regretting the past or worrying about the future? We're not enjoying the now. I love this poem. I'm not sure who wrote it, but it's called I Am. I was regretting the past, fearing the future. Then suddenly my Lord was speaking. My name is I Am. God paused. I waited. God continued. When you live in the past with its mistakes and regrets, it is hard. I am not there. My name is not I was. When you live in the future with its problems and fears, it is hard. I am not there. My name is not I will be. But when you live in this moment, it is not hard. I am here because my name is I Am. So in the Buddhist tradition, they use temple bells to remind themselves to return home to peace by coming back to the present moment. Every time they hear a bell, they stop talking, they stop thinking, and they return to themselves, breathing in and out and smiling. Whatever they are doing, they pause for a moment and they just enjoy breathing. Sometimes when they hear the bell, on the in-breath, they say to themselves, listen, listen. And on the out-breath, they say to themselves, this wonderful sound brings me back to my true self. In his book, Peace is Every Step, Thich Nhat Hanh writes that since coming to the West, he does not hear many Buddhist temple bells. Probably not, right? Fortunately, there are many church bells in Europe, but there are not quite so many in America. Whenever he gives a lecture in Switzerland, he makes use of the church bells to practice mindfulness. When the bell rings, he stops talking, and everyone present listens to the full sound of the bell. On the in-breath, listen, listen. On the out-breath, this wonderful sound brings me back to my true self. He says, I think it's better than the lecture. I would like to experience that with him. So what can be your bell? What can bring you back to mindfulness? Maybe the telephone ringing before you answer it. Say, listen, listen. Take that deep breath. Maybe let it ring 3 times. How about each time you open a door? Each time you open a door, that brings you back to mindfulness. Another powerful mindfulness practice is this simple breathing exercise. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment. So let's try that. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment. Or as we follow our breathing, we can simply say, calming, smiling, present moment, wonderful moment. Let's try that. Calming, smiling, present moment, wonderful moment. This idea of mindfulness as a way to return home to peace is not just a Buddhist idea. In fact, in the tradition of the Jewish tradition, a passage from the Talmud reads, the inner peace of the world to come is living in the world with full attention. How can we live in the world with full attention? So on to number 3. Be only loving kindness. Choose to return home to peace by being only loving kindness. What was it the Dalai Lama said? His religion is kindness. Wow. You could choose. The other quote was, if you could choose anger or choose kindness, choose kindness. Choose kindness. Gandhi, quoting the Buddha, often said, "Hatred does not cease by hatred at any time. Hatred ceases by love." There's a story told of Gandhi that he went to a village where there was a tremendous agitator. When Gandhi walked into the village, this guy walked up, grabbed him around his slender little neck, and started to choke him. The people that were standing there, they were horrified. It is said that there was not even a flicker of hostility in Gandhi's eyes, not a word of protest, no fighting back, no self-defense. He yielded himself completely to the flood of love within him. And in an instant, the man broke down like a little child and fell sobbing at his feet. The people around him thought it was a miracle. For Gandhi, he was used to the miracles of love. It proved for the 100th time in his own life the depths of the words, "Hatred does not cease by hatred at any time. Hatred ceases by love." This, I tell you, is the unalterable law. So how do we return home to peace? Well, we can go a long way toward it if we can realize our interbeingness, knowing that the connection of all beingness and how everything ever needed is already within us. We can, number 2, practice mindfulness, staying focused on the I am presence. Be only loving kindness. Number 3, be only loving kindness. Having only a consciousness of love coming from love. As Marianne Williamson says, we either come from fear or we come from love. I choose love. Thich Nhat Hanh offers a river meditation in his book, which is a metaphor for how we loose our peace and can then return home to it. So if you'd like, close your eyes and see yourself as a river. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful river finding her way among the hills, forests, and meadows. She began by being a joyful stream of water, a spring always dancing and singing as she ran down from the top of the mountain. She was very young at the time, and as she came to the lowland, she slowed down. She was thinking about going to the ocean. As she grew up, she learned to look beautiful, winding gracefully among the hills and meadows. One day she noticed the clouds of all sorts of colors and forms. She did nothing during these days but chase after clouds. She wanted to possess a cloud, to have one for herself. But clouds float and travel in the sky, and they are always changing their form. Sometimes they look like an overcoat, sometimes like a horse. Because of the nature of impermanence with the clouds, the river suffered very much. Her pleasure, her joy had become just chasing after clouds, one after another. But because she could never catch one, despair, anger, and hatred became her life. Then one day, a strong wind came and blew away all the clouds in the sky. The sky became completely empty. Our river thought that life was not worth living, for there were no longer any clouds to chase after. She wanted to die, but how can a river cease to be? That night, the river had the opportunity to go back to herself for the first time. She had been running for so long after something outside of herself that she had never seen herself. That night was the first opportunity for her to hear her own crying, the sounds of the water crashing against the banks of the river. Because she was able to listen to her own voice, she discovered something quite important. She realized that what she had been looking for was already within her. She found out that the clouds were nothing but water. Clouds are born from water and will return to water. And she found out that she herself is also water. The next morning the sun was in the sky. She discovered something beautiful. She saw the blue sky for the first time. She had never noticed it before. She had only been interested in the clouds. She had missed seeing the sky, which is the home of all the clouds. Clouds are impermanent, but the sky is stable. She realized that the immense sky had been within her heart since the very beginning. This great insight brought her peace and happiness. As she saw this vast, wonderful blue sky, she knew that her peace and stability would never be lost again. That afternoon the clouds returned, but this time she did not want to possess any of them. She could see the beauty of each cloud, and she was able to welcome all of them. When a cloud came by, she would greet it with loving kindness. When that cloud wanted to go away, she would wave to it happily and with loving kindness. She realized that all the clouds are her. She didn't have to choose between the clouds and herself. Peace and harmony existed between her and the clouds. That evening, something wonderful happened. When she opened her heart completely to the evening sky, she received the image of a full moon, beautiful, round, like a jewel within herself. She had never imagined that she could receive such a beautiful image. There's a beautiful poem in China, in the utmost empty sky, when the mind rivers of living beings are free, that image of the beautiful moon will reflect in each of us. This was the mind of the river at that moment. She received the image of that beautiful moon within her heart, and water, clouds, and moon took each other's hands, mindfully walked slowly to the ocean. There is nothing to chase after. All that we need is here. We can go back to ourselves, enjoying our breathing, our smiling, ourselves. Let us in this moment return home to peace. And so it is.